Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And as you can see, we've got the one and only Greg Dickerson from the road. He's out and about today. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for doing this with us. Thanks to you for giving us this hour each week. If you don't know, Greg Dickerson has a playlist on this channel that is full of amazing hundreds of hours of content. Go back and watch his first video, The Truck in the Toolbox. It is one of my favorite stories that actually made it in my second book. So that was a really cool story. Greg, what I want to talk to you about today is something we don't really talk about a lot, and that is home buyers, home owners, right? We're not talking about investors, rentals, apartments. We're talking about mom and dad buying their first home. And I want to talk about what should they do today, right? They've just left a year where they felt like they had to overpay, they had to waive conditions, they had to do unnatural things. Now they're in a market where rates have essentially doubled. Affordability is down 40%, meaning or the cost is up 40%. So it's just they're all stretched. There's talk of a recession coming. All of these things are flying in the face of that homeowner. What would you tell them, or what would you ask them? Right? Should they be buying a home? Should they think about buying a home? Should they keep renting? Should they stay put? What's somebody to do today in the housing market?
Yeah, so from a financial, standpoint and investment standpoint, I mean, this is one of the worst times to buy a house right now. You're at the peak. So the housing market has peaked, just like it has in the past cycles of housing history. So you're buying at the top. So, you have to ask yourself, do you need a house? Do you have to have a house? Is it something that, you want, you think you have to have from a financial standpoint, whatever that is, if you just think you have to have it because of financial reasons, and the older generation saying, hey, buy as much house as you can. Remember, that used to be the thing.
I remember.
Max it out, buy as much house as you can, because that's going to be your main wealth builder over your lifetime, which it was. It's a little different now. As we all saw 2008 and 9, we saw values get cut in half in most of the areas across the country, and it took 12 years to 14 years for that to come back to where they were before that. And then, we've seen them climb 30-40% since then in values, just because of the, low interest rate environment and all that. So if the Fed stays the course, if interest rates still climb and we get into 6-7%, you're going to see severe, demand destruction, and you're going to see severe price corrections in most markets across the country. Every market's different. Every kind of product's different. There's markets right now where there's still multiple offers for houses, not like it was, but they're still there. It's not 15 or 20 offers, it's 5 or 10, but there's still, multiple offer situations. They're taking a little bit longer. We're seeing price reductions. And there's other markets right now where you can't give a house away. And, it doesn't matter what you do, people just aren't buying because they're leaving those areas and going to others. So, the thing to think about is, do you need to be where you are? Because there's other markets that are much more affordable. You can get a lot more house for your money. So you can look at other markets in the country based on your work position and where you want to be in quality of life. Do you have to stay where you are? Because that, that's going to change really fast in different markets. Certain markets have much more demand than others. So, really that's what it boils down to. And it used to be the rule of thumb was you were better off renting unless you're going to be in a house 5 or 7 years or longer. That used to be the thing. That doesn't work anymore because of Fed intervention. And, you have to go with the Fed, and you have to go with the interest rate environment. And it's all relative. So as rates climb, prices will come down. They will adjust. It takes time. It ain't going to happen overnight. It's going to take 6 months to a year before we see real, correction and real impact on housing, on interest rate policy, as long as they stay the course. If the Fed somehow tries to pivot, which they can't right now, but if they do, and start reducing interest rates again, and, housing, interest rates come back down, then things will change, and, prices will just stay like they are and continue to go up. So, it's really a tough time right now, but the key is be patient. Things will change. It always does. It'll correct. Inventory will catch up at some point. And there's other markets where they're much more affordable than where you potentially are looking, if you, can make a move and work and live in somewhere else where, things may not be available or affordable right now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things in that I want to go back to and just hit again. The first thing I want to hit is I want to congratulate people. If you bought last year, there's a very good chance you have significant buyer's remorse. It was a crazy market, like you said, 20 offers, 50K over, waive conditions. There's a pretty good chance you have buyer's remorse. You also have lifetime low interest rates, or possibly lifetime low interest rates. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. But if you still want to buy a home, let's just say you're going to be in that home, like when Olivia and I bought in 99, we were going to be in that place for 15 years because our intention was to be in that school system for our daughter, right, Teresa. And once we got it, we weren't moving. And if that's you, right, and you've just got to do it, you know, the market's coming to you. So again, do your work, find a great deal. Listings are going to go up. Go look for that motivated seller. There's no reason to rush. Last year you only won with speed. This year, I think everything slows down. I'm calling for 25%.
Speed and
go ahead.
Speed and cash.
Yeah, like just crazy numbers, right? That's not this year. This year is going to be very, very different. So if your agent is telling you still, you got to write over, you got to do this, you got to do that, get a new agent. The market's different, at least most places. Maybe there's a couple exceptions, but I would tell
the big one too that, the big one too that a lot of people are getting that buyer's remorse on are home inspections. A lot of people waived the home inspections and they got stuck with a lot of things that they didn't know about. Yeah. Never buy a house without a home inspection. Now you can make the home inspection for information purposes only. And, if you don't like what you see, you walk. Yep. And you can have a certain period of time where you can get your earnest money back and still walk. Yep. But the seller may say, look, we're not doing any repairs. We're not going to entertain anything. Yeah. Sellers always say that, and they'll take care of little stuff if little stuff pops up, but never buy a home without an inspection. Agreed. Even if you're an expert house flipper, and that's what you do. Always get a home inspection. It's a couple $100. They're always going to find things you're not looking at. And guess what? If you're flipping houses, the buyer behind you is going to get a home inspection and find these things. So you might as well get it done up front so you can kind of check those boxes. But, that's a big one. The other thing I was going to say too is for people that feel like, I paid too much, but you got a sub 3%, interest rate on a 30-year fixed, amortize that out at 5.5 or 6% and see what that number is on the back end of a 30-year mortgage versus what you paid now. It's probably not too different. Now, once you start getting into 6 or 7%, you'll probably still pay 20 or 30% more than you paid today with a 2.5% loan. So kind of look at that, and that kind of helps it. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Yeah. Except right now. Right now, you're paying peak prices and peak interest rates, so it doesn't make any sense. Whereas before, you were paying peak like 6 months ago, 3 months ago, peak prices, record low interest rates, so it worked. Yeah. Now it doesn't work because interest rates are so high. Values are going to come down, and that the people that are buying now, it's going to be hard to recover higher interest rates, higher values versus people low interest rate, higher values. Yeah. So folks, again, we talk about it on my channel and all this stuff. It's always a good day to do a great deal. You got to find that motivate. The key to this year, in my opinion, is motivated sellers. Lots of sellers today still have what I call wish pricing. They still have unrealistic expectations. Guess what? You're not going to buy that home, but there will be motivated sellers. There will be sellers that have bought the home 30 years ago and can't believe the prices, so they'll take a discount. There are people who have other life events that they have to sell. This year, for me, it's going to be about finding motivated sellers, and they don't always come out and wave their hands. You got to go fishing for them. But once you find them, you can create a great deal, get a discount, maybe even get seller financing. You just never know what you can do when you have a motivated seller. Yeah. And in every market, every asset, no matter what it is, you want to be buying when people are selling. You want to be selling when people are buying. So you want to run with those tides. And, and I understand it's frustrating for people. People want a house. They want to, they want to be permanent, those types of things. They want a yard for the kids, whatever it is. They don't, like you don't want to move. You want to be there, good schools. Then you're just going to have to be patient or work out some creative deals, with somebody, or sellers, hopefully if they have a low interest mortgage and they're selling, price is high, maybe you can assume that mortgage or something. So there's ways that you can be creative to be able to step into a house that's overpriced if there's some other way to get in there. So those are the types of things to kind of look at as well. But right now, we just need more inventory. So the Fed has to stay the course. They want housing to correct because people are getting priced out of homes. The affordability index, is way down, right now because of, the interest rates. It's just cutting people's ability to afford those payments. And, it's a very difficult time for a lot of people. Very unique. We've never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's never. Yeah. The other thing I want to hit on one more time, because some people watching this will hear what you're saying and what I've said and think we are violently disagreement. We do disagree somewhat on price corrections, but one thing I think is clear is any price correction is likely in 2023, just given timing, correct? It depends. I mean, we're seeing them now, but so, all right. So let's qualify that.
Yep.
Okay. So we're seeing like somebody's like, where are prices down 30%? I'm like, look on Zillow
Mm,
because prices are so high right now. A 30% reduction is normal.
mm,
It puts you about where it should be. So you're seeing 20 to 30% already in
mm,
price reductions on houses in different markets. Like, I've seen a house in my area that's been, I'll kind of watch it. It's
mm.
been for sale for, I don't know, started out a little over $1 million. They've dropped the price $30,000 already, in a couple of weeks because they had it way overpriced to begin with. So
Yeah. Wish
let's
pricing.
understand when we're talking about price corrections and how big they can be.
Mhm.
If you're way overpriced to begin with, it's going to retract very quickly, initially. But we're already seeing price adjustments now.
Yes, we are.
If rates continue to rise, you're going to see them, increase as we get into the end of the year.
Mhm.
And, you'll see severe demand destruction by the time we get into next year.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Let's just look at the national average
Mhm.
price because that's all, every market's different, but
Right.
there is a national average. So
Mhm.
let's look at that price.
Yes.
And I think you'll see probably 10 to 20% if rates hit 6 to 7%,
Okay.
by the end of the year going into next year.
So I just want to be very clear. So December 31st, 2022, the year we are in, you think there's a chance we see 10% national housing values drop?
Yeah, the average price for a home nationally, yeah, which right
Okay.
now is four something.
Yeah.
It's four something, 420, 450, whatever it is. I
Yep.
think you'll see that come down at least 10% by the end of the year.
I like it. I do not see it. I think it is possible, but it's 2023. I think price elasticity. I think we have, I think the Fed kept rates so low so long. We're just going to see so many less transactions. But hey, I like it. That's why you're an expert. That's why you're on the channel.
If
We don't
if
always agree.
rates get up to 6 or 7%, that's the qualifier. If rates stay
Ah,
in the fives, that's not that bad.
it's
That's
not
not
that
going to
bad.
do that much. If it gets up to 6 or 7, then you'll see
Yeah, for
quicker
me,
price reduction.
yeah, for me, yeah, if it gets to 7, we have a problem, but it's 6 months later, right? For me, prices will correct, but in real estate, it's not crypto, it's not stock. It takes time. It takes months. So if we got to 7%, for example, in September or October, that's a problem. Everything will grind to a halt, but we wouldn't really see the impact of reduced prices until March, February, March, April, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the thing I think the thing to identify is rates. Is the Fed going to be so aggressive that they not only take us from 2.5 to 5.5? Are they going to take us to 6.5 or 7.5? Who knows? We know the Fed rate's going up. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, Fed rates going up, but bonds are the key. So the 10-year today is down a little
It
bit,
is. It's down,
so
yeah.
that's really what mortgage rates are based on. So
Correct.
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they jumped into the fives a lot quicker than I thought they would.
Me too.
So we'll see what happens. All I know is the last time we had this issue was 2008 and 9. It was very different
Hmm.
because lending dried up as well as interest rates
Correct.
rising. But, when that happened, prices changed very rapidly. I mean, we saw, within a few months, significant, price declination.
Mhm.
So it didn't take very long during that time. But again, that's because lending dried up and interest rates were rising. This time lending is still fairly healthy.
And we had waves of inventory. That's the big thing for me is we
Yeah,
had waves of inventory because of all those arms resets. It is and has always been supply and demand. What we had in '08 is we had a reduction in demand. You're highlighting it. We had a recession. We had lending dry up, but we also had supply seemingly double, triple, quadruple. We had foreclosures go from nothing to 3.8 million. That was all supply. We don't have that this time. Where the hell's the
right.
supply going to come from?
We had supply even as prices were going up before the crash. So,
Yeah.
04,
Yeah.
05,
Yeah.
going into, 06, 07, there was plenty of inventory.
Yeah,
The
there
inventory
was.
wasn't a problem. It was just easy loans and people were able to get them, but there was still, we were building, like
Oh,
crazy. And,
crazy. Yeah.
things were different. And, the building market got cleaned out after 08, 09. That's why we've never been able to really, that's what you're seeing such a supply shock right now because
Yeah.
so many people left the industry.
Correct.
Builders pulled way back, on production levels. So we haven't been able to really catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another reason, right? The supply side is just not there.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fascinating. I mean, it's just fascinating times all across the board in every
agreed.
sector. It's unbelievable. Employment situation, labor
Mhm.
market,
Yeah.
production,
Participation
shipping.
rate, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Crazy.
everything. It's just such a crazy time right now. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. And that's why we talk to you every Monday. We are so lucky to have you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. And, that's why I do this, because it changes that fast. I mean, every
Yeah.
week it's like something's changing somewhere. And it's
Yeah.
like, what the heck, man?
Exactly. Exactly. We appreciate you again. Go check out his playlist. Hundreds of hours of his experience helping you. Go back and watch what we've talked about. Almost everything has come true. It's just amazing to watch. Thank you so much.